Did you see Duelist Chronicles? Duelist Chronicles. No, I have not seen. What is that? Is that a new site? Forfa said it's like Road of the King, but for TCG. Oh, that's a very nice idea. I mean, it's kind of like we've been doing this with like we've been using spreadsheets for this basically, right? But I mean, that seems like a very good idea. Duel Chronicles seems to it seems to be a website that's aiming to just compile results. All right. Welcome to our detailed breakdown of YCS Sao Paulo, marking the kickoff of the 2023-2024 season. In this review, we will explore the top performing decks and provide a snapshot of the general metagame. Yeah, no, this is pretty much exactly Road of the King, but for the TCG. Phenomenal. Nice. Okay. I mean, let's quickly take a look at it. Before we hop into Master Duel, just very quickly. Deck performance and breakdown. Top 16, we had 29% Chimera. This is a little bit of a depressing stat because on stream we've only looked at the top 8, and in top 8 it was like Unchained was the most played deck by far in top 8, but it's just because a lot of the Chimera is lost in top 16. In top 16 overall, it was still mostly Chimera. 29% Chimera, 14 to be exact, out of 48, because it was a 3v3 YCS, so top 16 is 48 players. 14 Chimera, 9 Unchained, 5 Pearly, 4 Chimera branded, 2 Dragon Links, only 2 Dragon Links, 2 Labyrinth, 2 Marincess, 2 Vanquish Soul, Infernoble Knight, Math Mech, Melfi Sprite, Rescue Ace, Rick of Sun Avalon, Runic Fire Sprite, Scareclaw Manadium, Tier Elements. This format, honestly, if you ignore the fact that everyone is sick and tired of Chimera, everything else, or almost everything else, is pretty cool. That's also the exact same sentiment that I had while we watched the YCS stream on Monday, right? It was just like, every game that was not Shifter or D-Barrier or Anti-Spell was actually a pretty cool game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So I'm actually, I don't hate this format. I don't love it because it has those factors, you know, it has some of the factors that kind of ruin it, but overall it still is a solid format of Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't think it's going to be one of those formats that people go back to in a couple years and be like, yeah, let's play August 2023 format again. I don't think it's good enough for that, but it's all right. It's all right. Let's play Shifter format. Yeah, let's play Shifter format. Let's go. Yeah, and here we have some lists. Honestly, this is another reason why I'm currently not super hyped about TCG content on stream. I don't mind it. I like looking at it, but it's like all of this is like has been seen before, right? Dragon Link is relatively standard at this point. Chimera is super standard at this point. Labyrinth is very standard at this point, although they are using the one Sharvara with one of the Unchained traps. That's kind of spicy. That's cool. And then we have Unchained is a new dog in the format, but it's kind of like this Unchained list. This is PAX Unchained list, by the way. This Unchained list is very close to what we had on stream. It just added the DDD package, which is very cool. It's a very cool addition to the deck. And it adds another couple bricks, right? It plays the blue dog, which I think is a crazy thing to do. It's a crazy thing to do to play the freaking dog, but it is what it is. It does not run hand traps. It does not run hand traps, which is a it's an interesting yet understandable decision, I think. It's interesting in the sense that going into this format, everyone was like, including myself, there was a lot of theory going around that you needed to play more hand traps now, right? Remember a couple weeks ago where we watched some TCG deck profiles for the new format and every single deck had Droll and Lockbird? It was because Duelist Nexus came out and it brought out some new contenders to the metagame that people were like experimenting with in like regionals and stuff. The decks like Vanadium, Infernoble Knight, those kind of decks, right? Even the Chimera branded decks that can do a lot of stuff if uninterrupted. A lot of really degenerate stuff could be happening on your opponent's first turn if you don't have any hand traps, right? And I think that was the main reason that people were like, okay, those decks exist now, so we need to go back to hand traps, which is a very natural first thought. However, if you keep, you know, a lot in Yu-Gi-Oh is about staying in the loop and being ahead of everybody else, right? And that's, I think that's something that Pack did really well here. If you keep thinking like that, right? If you just continue that train of thought, everyone starts playing hand traps. So the combo heavy decks that lose to hand traps should start seeing less play, right? And they should stop seeing success. And decks that are better against hand traps should rise to popularity, which are decks like this Unchained deck, right? This Unchained deck does not really care about Droll Lockbird at all, unless you draw a hand of like the Dark Contract plus Prosperity or whatever. Then you might lose out one search to Droll Lockbird, but for the most part, it's completely fine against it. So a very natural progression. The problem is that you always have to stay one step ahead, because if this is now the meta, theoretically, you could whip out the combo decks again, right? Because if people notice now, oh, I can get away with less hand traps, then you can play the strategies that do that get stopped by hand traps again. And this is kind of like in TCG formats, or it could even be in Master Duel formats. You really have to stay like ahead of the curve a little bit, right? Which is why people like Pack do well, because they do a lot of preparation and they're like, you know, they do that kind of stuff. So that was very interesting. What's the monster next to Rhino? It's DDD. I think it's called DDD Vice King Requiem. It's the search target for Dark Contract with the Gate. It's just an extender, basically. The Dark Contract with the Gate is a free special summon for a Fiend monster that you can turn into DDD King Machinex and stuff like that. It's a pretty interesting card, I think. Yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, this deck is mainly just a good showcase of, first of all, Unchained's power in general, and also just Pack's ability to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to making tech choices and making a decision like not playing any hand traps. Because the decision of not playing any hand traps can be a very good decision sometimes and a very bad decision other times. And I think this time it was a good decision. Is Phantasme a good hand trap this format? Surprisingly, yes. I think Phantasme, not in the main deck, I think, because it just sucks against some decks, but we could be seeing a return of Phantasme to the side decks, because it's a very valuable card against a couple decks that will pretty much always link summon. Right? Like, Unchained is a deck that when they go first, you can expect them to either, if it's not a break, they will play into Phantasme. And that's good. So, like, you're not gonna want it in your main deck because, yeah, Kashtira, Pearly, Branded, like, against those decks, it's just unplayable, right? And so, like, you would never main deck Phantasme, I think. But, side deck could be a good card, right? Could be a good card. The only issue with Phantasme in 2023 Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, like, it's not really a hand trap, right? It's not even a hand trap because it doesn't stop your opponent from really doing anything. It only gives you a little bit of a better positioning, which can still be okay, right? But it was like, that was significantly better in a format like 2019, where it was a little bit slower and decks didn't make the most oppressive turn ones. It was just like Phantasme just fixing your hand and putting a body onto the board was really, really strong in 2019. In 2023, I'm not sure how valuable it still is. The targeting protection is nice though against Unchained in particular. Yeah, and then we have purely very, very standard list here. The Nibiru in the main deck is interesting. Nibiru seems to be coming back a little bit. Nibiru is an overall, I would say, solid card right now. Now, this is cool. Chimera branded, seeing actual play and success in this YCS is very, very cool. This is less of a branded deck, honestly. This is not a branded deck. It has one branded card, Branded Fusion. That's it. That's all. Why does TCG not play Dark Ruler no more? It seems better than Ash. It depends against which deck. But one key difference, one very big difference between Ash and Dark Ruler in the main deck is the fact that a lot of decks in the TCG right now don't set up crazy boards turn one. It's actually pretty healthy for a lot of these decks. They will do their first turn, and they will make a board that's like your opponent can play into it, right? It's not completely auto-win. And that includes decks like Kashtira. Even Kashtira, the best deck in the format, even if you have no hand traps, you can realistically beat a Kashtira deck. Depending on, of course, the hand you draw and the hand they drew. But in those kind of cases, when decks make kind of, I want to say, I'm gonna say fair. I'm gonna say fair boards, right? You can argue about it because there's a Kashtira Rysard, but you can't play against it, right? You've not automatically lost. So let's just say that's the benchmark for fair right now, just to simplify, right? In those scenarios, cards like Ash can really be the big difference maker because maybe your opponent can play through your Kashtira board, but they can't play through your Kashtira board plus Ash. Or maybe they can play through your Unchained interruptions, right? Your the Unchained setup is like powerful, but it's not auto win. But maybe they can't play through your Unchained setup plus Ash, right? So that's that. By the way, is this list correct with only one Chimera the King and two Chimera the Illusion Beast? I would assume that they mixed that up. Now that you're saying it, I do not think there's a reason to play two of this card and only one of this card. I'm pretty sure this is flipped around. They probably just typed Chimera in the deck builder and put the wrong card in twice. I don't think this does not make sense to me. Pretty sure you would always play two of the other fusion and one of the big fusion. One thing that I'm wondering with this deck is what the hell is your standard branded fusion line? I mean, I'm assuming it's Mirror Jade, but then Mirror Jade sending Albion doesn't really get you. You don't play branded in red, branded banishment. I guess you can just use the Mirror Jade on your opponent's turn. You make Rindbrum. Ooh. You make Rindbrum to add Swords Knight. Oh, you fuse with Gazelle from the deck? I see. You just branded fuse for Rindbrum. Send Gazelle from the deck to add. Okay. Yeah, fair. So it's really just not actually... You're not aiming for a branded board. You're really aiming for... It's just a Chimera deck, honestly. We told you that in the past. See, I don't remember every single word that's being typed in this chat. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for disappointing you so much. Chimera is really good, to be honest. I think the Chimera deck is really cool. Funnily enough, I could play Chimera at locals tomorrow, but I'm missing like the super rares. I have the fusion monster because I just pulled it twice, but I don't have the like Chimera fusion and stuff like that. So I'm probably not going to be able to play that, but we'll see. And then we have Rescue Ace, which was very underrepresented. It was only one. It's like out of all the decks from Duelist Nexus that people thought were going to be relevant, Rescue Ace seems like it's one of the less hyped ones. I don't think the deck is bad, but yeah, there you go. I just checked the profile and the extra deck seems right. Really? Very, very odd decision, but okay. Anyways, this page seems nice. Duel Chronicles. I'm gonna link it to you right now because it seems like it compiles nice stuff. Or Skrelp did it. All right. Well, I just tried copy pasting it with my keyboard, by the way, which doesn't have batteries. So KEKW. Yeah, nice. I'm happy about having a like kind of a Road of the King for the TCG. Seems like a very valuable resource.